Hey, have you ever wondered how corporate podcasts are filmed? Um, I do those. I film those. So let's walk through it. If you guys are either a corporation who's looking to film a podcast, a big business, maybe in Chicago, this video is for you. Or if you're just, another videographer who's interested in the behind the scenes of how these types of events work, or I should say shoots. It's not sort of an event. This video is for you. So let's jump over into here. So this was part of Levenfeld Pearlstein's accounting firm insider series with Steve Ferrara. So that's a podcast that I filmed for Levenfeld Pearlstein in Chicago. And I'll just kind of show you. We got Russell Shapiro, and then that's Steve Ferrara. So it might look a little jittery because I'm screen recording right now, but you get the idea. If you want to see like the actual video, go ahead on over to my podcasts playlist, my corporate podcast playlist. And I should have all of the corporate podcasts that I filmed in there, or you can just go over to Levenfeld Pearlstein's page, because that's where I added those onto my playlist, was from them, because they post it for marketing purposes and kind of establishing themselves as a leader in this industry. So Russell's kind of a leader in this accounting firm law, basically. So that's why we do these types of podcasts, to kind of just establish Russell as a leader in the industry, and to kind of give people some more insights on what goes into everything revolving around media, or not media, but revolving around the law that goes into accounting firms. We create the media for that. So anyways, let's go ahead and show you some behind the scenes clips. So this is just like a time lapse setting up. Basically we can use any kind of corporate office like this. So this was actually, I think, their like sort of lunch area. They have like this little lounging area in the kitchen, and that's where we chose to set up, because it was sort of the biggest area within this office. So this was their office that's like north, on the north side of Chicago, not the downtown office. So we were a little more limited on conference rooms and things like that. So we make do with what we got. You can see I lowered all of these shades for the windows, because the sun was kind of going in and out with like clouds and things like that. So we kind of wanted to like limit the amount of extra light that's coming in through the windows, because it's going to be changing, and when it's changing like during the recording, it makes it tough on the person recording, because you have to change your exposure value as that changes, and you don't want to put it in auto, because it might randomly change because it for some reason thinks the background needs to be exposed now instead of the person's face, just things like that. So you kind of really need to do this manually, and luckily I had my helper there, and he was able to kind of run one camera while I ran the other in case it did change, but we mitigated it as much as possible by putting in our own lights and trying to really block as much sun as possible. But I mean, you can see with the results that it's not possible to completely block the sun in a room like this. We would have had to like black out the windows. So that's one issue when it comes to recording in corporate offices you want to think about, is which side of the building is the sun coming in on, what time of day is it going to be filmed, things like that, because you want to make sure that you don't ruin the shot right in the middle of filming. That's why in corporate offices, typically, even if it is like downtown, you got the nice view of the city. Sometimes it's like, if you're going to be recording for a long time, sometimes it's better to just go ahead and close up those windows or film in an internal conference room, because then we can really dial in our lighting and make sure everything's perfect. When you have windows, it's a variable that we can't really change as videographers. I mean, other than blocking out the window completely, which, I mean, not my favorite thing to do, especially when you got a lot of windows that you need to block out. So this usually works pretty good, and I thought it honestly turned out pretty nice looking, nice and bright. It's kind of a cool look, if you ask me. It almost like reminds me of that scene in The Matrix where they're in just like a white room with a couch, Morpheus and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like it. But anyways, let's go back up to the top here. So you can see I have like these big cases that I bring. Two of these giant cases kind of fits everything. So I got my sliders, my lights, my this is actually made for a backdrop, this thing that I'm mounting the mics to, but I find that it works better than it's like easier than bringing two C stands and trying to boom it out, because this is a lot more lightweight and I can actually fit it in those cases. Whereas if I was bringing C stands, I would need a whole nother case just for C stands, and it just adds up the weight really quickly. So by doing this, it's like really secure and lightweight at the same time, and it worked perfect for like 2 to 3 people. I haven't done any more than 3, but I have done 3, and it worked just fine for that. When you get to more than 3 people, I typically recommend just putting the mic in the shot like this, because then people like accept that you have these, mics being sort of on stands and stuff like that. And it's, it's still a good look, especially when you brand it. You got like Lakeshore Video right on there. It's on the mic flag. And I can print out any kind of, logo or whatever. I use a Cricut printer. If you guys know what that is, it'll let me cut out your logo. So I've done that for LP on a recent one, where I cut out the LP and put it on a mic flag for them. And it basically looks just like their logo. And we can literally make stickers using the Cricut. So you can go as intricate as you want with your logo, or super simple. I tend to like the simple side, just so that you can see it from far away. You know what I mean? This one's almost too hard to see, but I kind of like it anyways. But it just depends on how intricate your logo is and like how far away the cameras are going to be when you see them. But we use a Zoom F3 field recorder that lets us get 32-bit float audio. So basically there's no peaking, there's no setting the levels. You just plug it in. As long as it sounds good in your headphones, it's going to be good recording. And they can yell, scream, do whatever they want, as long as you're not filming a concert or something. You're going to be fine. The only time you could lose the audio is if the actual mic peaks. So each mic has like its own sound pressure level that it can handle, which is usually like 150 decibels or something, something pretty high. So you're not going to run into any issues when you're, recording a podcast. Yeah, just some more looks behind the scenes. You can see my sliders there. So I got my close-ups on sliders, so that just gives a little more dynamicness to the shot. It's like a parallax sort of moving back and forth. And it just keeps the audience more interested. So I use a Lumix S5 with an 85mm lens for my close-up on the newer slider. And I really like those sliders because it's like 30 seconds to get from one end to the other. So it's not too fast, not too slow. It's got a pretty good travel range. It's, sometimes you have sliders that only go like a foot, and this is like 2 to 3 feet. So it's a lot nicer than those shorter throw sliders. And see, I had to stop down on this one because I was at the lowest ISO for Vlog, and I had to stop down to F5 in order to like get the brightness level down enough in the room or on my exposure, because that room was just really bright with that sun coming in through the back. But it's I thought it still looked really good the way it turned out. I really like it. And then it's I just set everything to 5600 Kelvin. That's what my lights are, and that's also what the sun is. So when you're at 5600, like with your lights, you're matching the sunlight, so you don't have to worry about contrasting colors of light coming in through the background. That's why I film everything at 5600 and light everything at 5600. And then, this is my wide shot. This is the Lumix S1 with the 35. And we use a Hololan Mars X to give us a wireless monitor. So I can let Melissa watch what it looks like in the monitor. The clients can see it. Melissa's in the head of marketing, so she's there just kind of monitoring it, taking notes, things like that. And I find the clients really enjoy being able to see themselves when they're first starting, like just to give them peace of mind that they look good and everything else. So now, if you notice in this shot, I actually do have some light stands in the shot. And that was just because I wanted to go pretty wide to have room to crop around. And I kind of... what I ended up using is just like AI to fill in these spots to cover that up in the final edit. So you don't see any of that stuff in the final edit. And that's... something that I do sometimes when I'm like going for this extra wide shot. Maybe I can make the room look bigger. Just different tricks. You can use AI to fake your background, basically. Now, this particular shoot was a little tricky with that because the changing in the sun. So basically, every time the sun changed, I had to redo the background because now the background looks a little bit different. The lighting's slightly different, so it's not going to match perfect. So that was a pain that I had to work through. That was a learning experience because this was in 2023. It was still like relatively new to be like changing your background with AI and stuff like that. And so I kind of didn't think about that beforehand. So if you're going to do that, any kind of changing of your background on any shoot, which I do it a lot, honestly, but you have to have like studio type of lighting where it's not going to change at all. I use blackout curtains a lot of times at my home studio to just black out the background, so that way I can completely control the lighting, keep it consistent the whole time, and you don't have to worry about when the sun changes and now your background doesn't match on the spots that you're covering up. We made it work, though. Nobody could tell the difference because every time the sun changed, I changed the background. So we use Godox VL300 lights. Those are 300-watt lights. And I use the Photix Raja 105 softbox, and that's with the grid on it. And that's kind of why you need 300-watt lights, is because of that grid and it's such a massive light source, I should say. Just having such a 3 feet across, you kind of need a lot of light pumping through that because you got double diffusion plus the grid that knocks it down like 2 stops. So I'm just guessing on that. I don't really know how many stops, but probably about there. And so you need to have at least a 300-watt light to kind of compete with the sunlight coming in, because you still want your light source to sort of be what's highlighting their faces and stuff like that. So you can see these are the Sennheiser 416 mics, and I just got those, on my overhead. That's just a newer backdrop thing. So it works really good for running my audio. And that way the clients don't have to have a bunch of things clipped on their shirts or whatever. I find it like, especially with these high-end clients that are like, they don't want to be dealing with like somebody coming up like, hey, let me touch you, let me grab your stuff and put this in your pocket and do all this. Like, they really prefer to just sit down and start talking. So that's why I really like using the shotgun mics overhead. It sounds great, and it honestly sounds better than a lav mic. And like I said, the other option is just putting the mic in the shot. So it just kind of depends on what look you're going for. Russell likes this high-end look where it's just like, it looks like you're not even like filming it. It just looks like two people are sitting down having a conversation, lounging around. You never guess that there's all this stuff in the background with cameras everywhere and lights and stands and everything else. So yeah, that's why we just kind of try to get that high-end, like, unobtrusive look to not distract the people watching. And same thing over here, Lumix S5 with the 85. And that's actually a battery sled that I put on top with an NPF battery to power it. And I just go in USB-C, and those are hot swappable, so you can keep it recording while you're swapping batteries because you got the internal battery as a backup. And then my fill is the Godox SL60, and that's looks like a newer lantern, globe lantern, whatever you call that. But yeah, the SL60 is enough wattage for your fill, because I don't need a ton of fill, because basically my two lights here, you can see like this light is going to be a backlight for him and a front light for the other person. So it's like each light does like double duty as backlight and fill light. And then, or not fill, key light. That's what I meant. Why am I saying fill? I'm a little tired today. It's kind of raining and dreary outside. So if I seem a little off, I'm just a little tired. It's towards the end of the day. So yeah, like we got our key light and our backlight is one light up here. So backlight, key light, and then up there, backlight, key light. And then we just do a little bit of fill with our globe lantern there, you can see. And that's, I just monitor the audio to make sure there's no hiccups or anything crazy. Sometimes in the city you have like ambulances or police cars or whatever, and you kind of you don't really want that in your final edit. But good thing, I use Adobe Podcast Audio, I believe is what it's called. Let me click on it real quick. It's podcast.adobe.com, and that will basically take out any kind of background noise. So it's not a huge issue to have background noise these days. In the past, it was always like a pain filming in Chicago, especially when you're downtown, because there's just a lot of sirens and stuff that just echo through the city. But now I don't worry about it as much, because it definitely will clean that up. And I've even had dogs barking in the background of some of these podcasts, and you can't even hear it once Adobe Podcast Audio fixes it. So just monitoring, taking some behind the scenes. Behind the scenes of behind the scenes. Yeah. You can see it moving, the slider moving on that shot. But pretty much that's how I do it. And this is what you end up with. So I really like how it ended up. Let's see if I can go to there's your wide shot, and you can see, let me just pause it here. So you can see in the wide shot, you cannot see any of those stands or the mics coming down or anything in this shot because, like I said, I just filled those spots in with AI and can't tell the difference. So, yeah, that's how I film these corporate podcasts. So, if you guys have any questions or anything, let me know in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer your questions. And if you guys want to film a corporate podcast, let me know that as well. I can come to your location. We can film in your office. It's better when we're kind of like in a bigger space. I'll say that. Sometimes people want to film in smaller spaces, and I can make it work, but it always looks better when you have a bigger space to film in, one that has more depth. This particular shoot didn't have like a ton of depth to it, but I thought it still looked really clean because of like all the white and just bright sunshine being diffused through those curtains or whatever you call that comes down. And so we can work with basically any room, but the more room that we have to work with, the more cinematic we can make it look. And I kind of prefer being able to control the lighting like almost exclusively just with my lights. And, sometimes with a bigger conference room where you just have windows along one side, we can still have like the city outside, have the shades up where you can see the city outside, but that kind of depends on the weather because sometimes, especially in the wintertime, you get like really gray, dreary days and it just doesn't look that good. It also depends on which side of the building you're on for, where the sun's coming in, what time of day and all that stuff. So we have to calculate all that stuff beforehand in the planning process. So just reach out to me if you guys want to film a podcast, and we'll catch you in the next video. My name is George Nix. This is Lakeshore Video. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye now.